Alrighty, round two. We're gonna try this again. I didn't have a very good internet connection last time, so I'm using my phone hotspot. Hopefully that will keep me connected a little bit better to everybody. I'm gonna wait just a second and see if I get the same notification. Looks like it might be working. Okie dokie. Well, welcome. Yay! Welcome, gang. So we're gonna talk about energy. So that is why I'm sitting outside. Well, that's not the only reason. I love sitting outside. I love this time of day. I love this time of year. So anytime I can be outside, I'm happier. And of course, being out in nature is a great way to connect with energy. It's very healing energy. It's very grounding. It's soothing. It's aligning. So yeah. So what I wanted to talk about tonight is that phrase we've probably all heard a ton, like raise my vibration, raise your vibration, high vibes, high vibe tribe, good vibes, all that stuff. We've heard those words going around, and I also see some people kind of like, poking fun at it, like, what is all this about, or just like people are kind of sick of hearing those terms, and maybe because they don't really know what exactly it means or how to do it. Or, sometimes we just make fun of stuff that we're not familiar with or comfortable with. But I wanted to share with you a couple of my practices, and see if it might be something that will touch you, and maybe something that you could start practicing in your own life. So by raise your vibration, what do I mean? I did a live a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about essential oils, and those essential oils are actually one of the tools I use a lot of to literally raise my body's vibration, by smelling them, by using them with my body, internally, externally. So there's lots of ways that essential oils can raise your vibration. But how do we actually do that? In case you missed that one, I've probably mentioned it in other videos as well, that your body actually has a frequency. It can be measured, scientific, and there are things that either raise or lower that vibration. So things that could lower your vibration, toxic environments, like physical environments, pollution, hey Jennifer, smells out in the environment, things physically in your environment, like Glade plugins and things like that are synthetic fragrances that have chemicals in them. These are things that can lower your vibration. Another thing that can lower your vibration is toxic people. People who, and by toxic, I mean not their soul, but like where they are in their life, how they're acting, and how they're talking, and how they're living their life in the moment. They could be in a toxic place in their life, but I want to stay away from calling the person toxic. But the way they could be acting and living their life at the moment. Hey, lovely. I can't wait to talk to you and see how you're doing. On the reverse of that, people like my good friend Jennifer is somebody who could raise your vibration just by being in her presence and looking at her smile. And you probably have people like that in your life too. So there's in your environmental toxins, the people in your sphere that could be lowering your vibration. Foods that you're eating could lower your vibration. But a huge one is mindset. What you are thinking day in and day out can lower your vibration. Are you breathing enough? Are you breathing deeply? Stress is a word we use a lot. We can dump a lot into that label of what could stress us out. And it's a good word because everybody kind of knows what we're trying to mean by it, but it really doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't cover nearly enough of an impact that stress can have on the body. So stress is a good kind of cover word, but it goes so much deeper than that. So these are just a couple of things that could actually really lower your body's vibration or frequency. I personally, in my videos, I use the words like vibration, energy, frequency. I use them relatively interchangeably. And just so you know, if I switch from one word to the other, I'm kind of talking about the same thing. Because somebody might tune into or listen to or hear one of those words better than another. So I'll use them kind of interchangeably. What I do to raise my vibration, and let me interrupt myself. I get this question a lot because I use a lot of different tools in my work to help somebody raise their vibration. Sound, smell, mindset, all this stuff. And they're like, how do I measure my own vibration? How do I know what my frequency is? When I tell people about their body's frequency and how a higher vibration, you're less prone to injury and dis-ease. Lower vibration, you're more prone to physical malaise and dis-ease. Like, how do I measure my frequency? And really the best way, without buying fancy tools, you don't need your own personal like EEG in your house, is how you're feeling. How you're feeling at any given moment will give you an indication of where your frequency or your vibration or your energy is. So if you are truly feeling content and willing to try new things and happy and excited, if you're feeling love, any of these things, then your frequency is high, your vibration is high. If you're feeling fear, if you're feeling blame and shame, those are lower vibration emotions, okay? And this sounds like, no brainer, but think of how many times throughout the day, week, month, whatever, that you find yourself in some of these emotions. And that's kind of what I do in my sessions with my clients, is we spend time, not to punish anybody and make them feel bad, but we spend time identifying the triggers and traps in our day that keep us in a low vibration state. Because the longer you're in there, the more prone you are to more troublesome things happening. Like 1 minute of anger can lower your immune system for like 5 or 6 hours, whereas like 1 minute of laughter can raise it for 24. So the power of laughter is so much more powerful to raise you out of those depths. And so it's don't take a couple of minutes of laughing with a good friend for granted, because it can really do you a lot of good. But so identifying what emotion you're in and kind of how long you're in it and what triggers you, that's a huge part of the work of starting to raise your vibration. But the awareness is key, and not judging yourself in the process is key. So that's how we identify where our frequency or where our vibration is how are you feeling? And I have a chart that I use that was developed by Dr. David Hawkins, who did a lot of muscle testing, and that's how he did a lot of his work. And he's got a great book, Power versus Force. I've talked about it a lot in my videos. And that's what I use with my clients to help them identify their emotions, and we get an idea of gauge where we're at and what direction we want to move to, and how many steps along the way there might be. Because if you're in blame and shame, you're not going to jump to love. At least you're not going to stay there very often. And if you're looking at something that's scary to you, that's where you're in fear, you're not going to feel love when you're in fear. So what we do is identify where we're at and shift from there. But so what do we do? How do we raise our vibration? And more importantly, sorry, there's like my hair gets everywhere, and I was going to put it up, but anyway. So what I do to raise my vibration, I have lots of tools that I use, and some of them are so there's so much ingrained in me now, I don't even have to try very hard to do them. It's just part of what I do. But there's times when I'm really feeling off, or I'm feeling funny, or I really want to hone in and create a shift, make sure I'm really truly aligned, where I really spend some time and get really intentional with what I'm doing. So a couple of things that I do. So let's start first thing in the morning. Try to, first thing in your morning, express some kind of gratitude. Try to go to a sweet spot first before you go anywhere else. Before you even, if you can, get out of bed. Just try to think of something like, yay, it's another day, it's sunny out, or I can't wait to go see this this client today, or I have this appointment. Try to start training yourself to have, like, upon impact of a new day, get grateful. Start your day grateful, if at all possible, and that's going to start setting the tone for your day right there. And you can spend as much time there as you want to. But if you listen to my video yesterday and you're starting a new habit, the best thing for you to start with is don't put too much on your plate. Like, I'm going to spend 15 minutes coming up with 50 things I'm grateful for. Write down 3 or 5, or think of them. Say them out loud. Hear your own voice and get those vibrations in your vocal cords going. Sing them if you have a voice. I don't really sing that well, so I don't sing. But so get grateful, okay? And then from there, I have a ritual that I do in the morning. I do oil pulling. I do some work with essential oils. I have a few elixirs that I drink. I drink water. I make a frequency water based on my own personal body's. It's a homeopathic tool that I use to create my own frequency water. So I drink that, and depending on what I'm feeling, I use some essential oils. I might use some crystals, things like that. That's just part of my, like, I don't drink coffee. So somebody might get up in their morning ritual. They don't even have to think about it. They go to the kitchen, they get the tools ready for coffee. Maybe they brush their teeth while that's happening. Like, they don't even have to think about it. That's how they spend the first 15 minutes of their day. So this is how I spend the first 15, 20 minutes of my day, is this little routine of detoxing and cleansing. And then once I've done that, I like to do all that before I meditate, just because it helps me feel, kind of clean and grounded and ready to focus in and hone in on my meditation. And without sounding gross, like, so I don't brush my teeth first off. I do my oil pulling first, and it makes me feel clean. Like, I wouldn't want to sit down. I don't brush my teeth before I oil pull, and I don't want to meditate without having brushed my teeth. So that's just, so I have to do all this before, I don't have to, but I choose to do all this before I even meditate. Now, you could do this a different way. I didn't always do it this way. This is currently my routine. Jennifer wants to learn about frequency elixirs. Yes, definitely. Oh, remind me to bring it to Florida, Jennifer. I'll bring my machine to Florida. Okay. So, all right. This hair is like a freaking fur coat. So that's how I spend the first 15 minutes of my day. Once I've got that done and I feel kind of clean and ready, then I sit down to meditate. I meditate anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, kind of depending on my day or my mood or what cycle of meditation I'm in. Sometimes I'm literally just sitting down in lotus, quiet, doing that. Other times I'm listening to guided meditations or binaural beats or things like that. So that part of my meditation process changes. And then I journal. And if I don't do all that right in sequence, I usually don't wait too long to do the meditation and the journaling part. Sometimes because of just how my day is in traffic and whatnot, like I do my morning ritual and then I got to get out and go closer into town or where my things are. And I like to go meditate and journal outside. And there's a park that I go to a lot. I like to sit outside and do this stuff. So on my way into wherever I'm going, I listen to Abraham Hicks. And hey, Paul. So if it's Abraham Hicks, or it could be another teacher or mentor or somebody that's talking about high vibration stuff, or I'll listen to kirtan music or something to influence my vibration while I'm driving. Like if you're driving and you're listening to news, or you're listening to I'm gonna sound old, like rock music or something, or like, you know, there might be music that's not really high vibration, and that could be up to taste. Okay, I may have judgments about music that when I listen to them, they don't make me feel joyful. Like it could be pleasant music, but I don't feel alive when I listen to that music. So when I'm driving in, I like to listen to stuff that makes me feel alive and connected and hopeful and filled with gratitude and excited for the day. And not only am I filling my brain with a whole bunch of good stuff, but I'm also not thinking about traffic. I'm not worried about where I'm going and what I'm doing. I'm not running a to-do list through my head. So I've now spent, between the time I woke up and to whatever time, you know, probably a good hour and a half kind of in a vibration of lifting my frequency. That's been my intention for the first hour and a half of my day. Most of the time. There are times I have to get up early and it's just like, crap, get up and get dressed and go. And so I try to tend to these things later down on the road. But if I had my druthers and every day went exactly how I wanted it to, I'd probably have 2 hours worth of all of this stuff before I did anything else. That doesn't happen very much anymore. But that's how I spend just about every day, is a sequence of those tools. Some days, depending on what I have lined up or how I'm feeling, I may need to spend more time in a certain part of that process. But I know when I'm missing a piece of that, I don't feel like I connect the dots throughout the day quite as well or as easily, or I get a little bit off track. And right now where I am building my business, it's pretty important for me to stay aligned in my vision and stay aligned with the steps I need to take to create what I'm creating, because it's really easy to get off track and get overwhelmed. If anybody out there has started their own business, which I know the 2 people who are watching have, it's you are the sole motivator for your business. So if you're jacked up in the head about stuff, then you're not going to get your job done very well, or you're going to be miserable while you're doing it. So for me, it is super important to do all of these things, not to mention the fact that I just feel better. I just feel better when I'm doing all these things. And I also haven't gotten sick in a super long time. What's super long? I don't know. I mean, a year and a half, that feels like super long to me. I know some people, I haven't gotten sick in 10 years. Well, that's not me. For me, I haven't gotten sick in a long time, and I'm constantly around people who are sick. And I feel very strongly that a lot of the tools that I use day in and day out help me stay in a high vibration so my body doesn't get to the physical state where it gets dis-ease. That's just what I believe. And I do believe when something happens physically to me that there is an energetic tool, a component that I can use for healing. Now, sometimes it's not the time or the place. A couple years ago, my appendix was yelling at me, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. That's not the time to get out the crystals. That's the time to go to the hospital. And that's what I did. But I'm talking when you gotta, some of our aches and pains or certain things, I like to search into my bag of holistic tricks that are going to speak to my body on a vibration level before I speak to it on a synthetic chemical level. That's just how I choose to roll most of the time. Another way that I raise my vibration is by physically putting my intention somewhere inside my body and churning that wheel of energy. And this is where some people may go, what the heck are you talking about? Well, just listen for a second. You have lots of energy cycles in your body. They can call chakras, dantians, whatever you want to call them. You have energy spheres. Your body is energy. And if you focus your intention long enough in a certain area, you can actually feel that vibration. You can feel the energy. You can feel the tingling inside your body. And I practice playing with that energy to see what I can do with it and to see if I can feel it at random times, sometimes too, like driving in the car or at the gym or whatever. I just okay, let me see if I can start moving the energy inside of my own body and feel it. Because I know I know if I set the intention, I can move it, but am I actually physically aware of the movement? That's, in my mind, 2 different things. I know I'm doing a lot with my intention, but you can't always totally tangibly feel the changes. So I love it when I put my intention into my body and I can feel the energy inside my body shift or move or adjust in some way. It's pretty cool. So that's how I play with my energy. And you can do that with others as well. That's what Reiki is to some degree. Jennifer, she does energy work. So there's a lot that you can do within other people as well. And then sometimes you meet people and they have energy that doesn't feel so good to you. And there's also ways that you can protect yourself so you don't soak up that negative energy. I'm doing hand movements down here. You just can't see them because I talk with my hands. So I practice ways to keep my energy safe, to keep my energy high. So when I'm around my clients and I'm doing my thing and I'm out doing my day, that I am hopefully blessing everybody that comes into contact with me, because they feel good, high, light, love, and energy coming off of me. Because A, I'm not letting their crappy energy in if they have it, and I'm pumping it out because I'm consciously tending to it, and so I have plenty to give. When I'm consciously tending to my vibration, it stays so high that I can freely give it off and it doesn't deplete me. If I'm by default in a high vibration state, which is where I used to live a lot of the time before 6 years ago when I started consciously working with this stuff, if you're not really aware that you're in a high vibration, you can get knocked off a little bit easier. But once you start intentionally getting to this place of a high vibration, high frequency, high energy, you can stay there more consciously and you can deal with a lot more stuff because it's like you've got your feet grounded. You know where you are, you know where you're standing, and it's easier to deal with stuff because you're not letting things bounce off of you. They don't get soaked into your energy if you're being intentional about what you're doing. So those are some of my tips and tools. I didn't even get into breathing. But I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes out here, so they love my sweet skin. So I'm going to jump off here, and I love you all for watching. I hope you got something good out of this, and I hope you have a beautiful evening. As always, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have a beautiful Facebook night. See you soon. Bye.